Good evening, everybody. I'm Ward Blackwell, Executive Director of the Pennsylvania Dental Association, and welcome to Bridging the Info Gap. This is our every other month leadership webinar where you get to hear directly from the people who are involved in PDA, working on your behalf, find out what's going on, and at the end, get to ask them some questions. Now, a couple of the basic housekeeping measures I have to go through. If you are an attendee, as the nice lady probably told you when you logged on, you're in listen-only mode. But you can communicate with our panel tonight by typing questions in the question box. Now, that is an icon to the upper right, has a little cartoon bubble looking thing with a question mark in it. Any questions you type into that will be directed to the panel during the last 10 or 15 minutes of the webinar. Time permitting. Those that we don't get to, we usually try to answer by email later. But basically, you can type your questions in at any time during the hour-long webinar. We'll ask them at the end. With that, we can move on now and give you a little bit of a commercial. As always, these webinars are brought to you by PDA Member Advantage, a program of the Pennsylvania Enterprise Resource Corporation, which is a subsidiary of PDA. A couple of our PDA Member Advantage companies we want to recognize tonight: ADS, which is a national network of brokers that upholds some of the strictest qualification standards in the industry. When you're looking to buy or sell, these are the folks you want to have in your corner, and members get an exclusive deal on appraisals. Also, DMX Easy Refine program is the fast, easy way to manage your precious metal waste. There's no charge for shipping with DMX, and PDA members receive a minimum 5% premium on their precious metals. Finally, statistics indicate more than half of all dental practices will be victims of embezzlement. So when it happens, you want professionals to investigate and help you recover. The industry leader is Prosperident, and they can help with prevention as well, all at discounted rates for PDA members. Those are our sponsors for tonight. Now meet your panel. With us tonight, Dr. Gary Davis, Chair of the Mom and PA Dental Mission, Dr. Karin Bryan, Editor of the Pennsylvania Dental Journal, Dr. John Coole, PDA President-elect, Dr. Nick Seigel, our new Dentist Committee Chair, Dr. Pete Korch, who represents our district on the ADA's Council on Ethics, Bylaws, and Judicial Affairs, Dr. Darleen Oleski, the Chair of ADPAC, and Dr. Ted Rockwell, who is our representative on the ADA Council on Dental Practice. That is our panel for tonight. And without further ado, I'd like to get the ball rolling. We're going to lead off with our General Chair for the Mom and PA, Dr. Gary Davis. Who is muted?
Thank you, Ward. It's a pleasure to be here with everyone tonight. We can go to the next. We can start going right away. I really want to spend a portion of my presentation just telling you how grateful I am. I really do feel so blessed to be a part of Mom and PA, and I wanted to give out some thank yous because it really is a team effort with a long history. First, I'd like to say thank you to Bernie Dishler. Bernie wasn't able to be with us, this year at the mission, but Bernie is, I call him the father of Mom and Pa. It was his idea to get it started back in 2011, 2012, when he was president-elect and president. So Bernie, was really why we're here. And also Ron and Bruce, I don't know if they're on the call tonight, but they've been, part of the executive committee, since we began. It's really, it's a big team effort of all, we have 38 leads and 38 co-leads, but every year Ron and Bruce and Bernie and I, kind of team up together and do the work in between the meetings. This year, our community leads were Charlie and Calcaterra and Seth, and I really want to thank them. They did a great job in Allentown this year. We, got a lot of volunteers, and they were able to get out, and get people to donate things and get a lot of dentists and non-dentists to volunteer. So Charlie and and Seth, a special thank you to you. You really, you're the ones that made it successful this year. All the leads, like I said, we have so many leads, and a lot of them have been with us forever, since the very beginning. And I just want, we have several leads actually here on the panel tonight, like Karin, and Ted. And so, we really want to thank you guys for all that you do. So thank you very, very much. Ward and the PDA staff. I mean, we're part of the Pennsylvania Dental Foundation now. We've been that way for a couple years now, and Ward and the PDA staff have really stepped up, and they do a lot for us. And I don't know if towards the end, Ward, if you want to talk about some of the things that your staff is doing, but I'm really happy with your team. Two people that a lot of us don't know that I think we need to thank is Eamon and Dan. Dan Adair is, he's with Benko, and he's been with us from the very beginning. And, anytime we need anything, he's there for us. And we have other suppliers like Patterson and Henry Schein, but they, corporate buyouts, other things have changed with them, and we're happy that they can help us out. But Benko and Dan Adair have been there every year for us, and we're very grateful for them. And Eamon Kittle, he is with Dexis, and he's the one that brings a lot of the nomads. I think he brings 5 nomads to the mission every year, and he's there the whole time with us. He's been with us, 13 years, and they really, I'm grateful for all that they do for us. So if you have a chance to thank any of our sponsors, I want you to, thank them. Just go to our webpage. But United Concordia has been supportive of us every year. Highmark, Delta Dental, Dexis, Dent Supply, those suppliers and companies have been really good to Mom and PA. I'd like to also thank the 800 plus volunteers we had this year. I mean, thank you so much. I mean, if you weren't there, we couldn't get the work done. And I'm grateful for the 1,395 patients that came this year that trusted us enough, to come. I mean, that's an honor to have some, they trust us enough to come to strangers and stand in line overnight to see us. So I'm grateful for them. And finally, our families. I mean, anyone who's a lead, knows that this takes a lot of time away from family time. And I also included my higher power. I pray about this a lot, and especially the night before in the morning, I'm driving in, I'm saying, boy, I hope people show up. I hope people show up. I hope I don't have 800 volunteers and only, 400 people show up. And this year, like most years, we had, hundreds and hundreds of people lined up at 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock in the morning. So just a lot of gratitude. And I just want to thank the foundation for allowing me to do the job that I do, and the PDA and everyone. So thank you very much. I really appreciate this. I only got 2 minutes left. So can I go to the next slide? I just wanted to point out on this one that Mom and Pa, although we've been around a long time, we are part of the PDA now, right? We're a program of the Pennsylvania Dental Foundation, and we really love that. That makes things a lot easier for us. So thank you, PDF. Next slide. And our mission is to, every year we go over this with all of our leads, and we try to, be as nice as we can to all the patients and to each other, because we all agree that our mission is to relieve pain and suffering, to educate patients. So our education department is very important. Compiling data, we compile a lot of data for anybody who needs it. We share it with insurance companies, we share it with Pennsylvania Dental Association, and we share it with policymakers because there's a lot of need out there. And so we also, have a press conference, and we actually do tours for policymakers so they can see, the need out there, and actually talk to some of the volunteers and hear some of the stories. And we always try to find a dental home for the patients. And so success for us is no injuries, patient numbers between 600 and 1,000 a day, and getting enough volunteers. And, like I said, we had over 800, and every year we want to have between 750 and 1,000 volunteers. And so we got those numbers this year, so it was a successful year. Next one. And so a lot of people say, well, how many patients did you see, or were you successful? So I have 2 scenarios for you. Which is better? If you treat 1,395 patients, you produce between $1.3 and $1 million worth of dentistry, you had 828 volunteers, and you did 8,300 procedures? Or is it better to treat over 2,000 patients, produce $1 million, which or let's just say 1.4 million in today's dollars, have 1,000 volunteers, but only do 5,883 procedures? What I'm doing is I'm comparing Allentown in 2014 to Allentown in 2026. And I think they're both great. And we have this discussion that goes back and forth every year. Is it better to see less patients and do more on each patient? Or is it better to see 2,000 or more patients and just do one procedure, one and done? And that was our philosophy back in 2014, was one and done. And we've changed over the years to see less patients, but to do more work on each patient. So something to think about. And, if you're a lead or, you have any comments for us, I'd like to hear what you believe is best. A lot of people ask, why we do what we do. Well, we do surveys every year, and this is for this year. This is for 2026. We got our surveys back yesterday, and 37% of the almost 1,400 people that came in pain. Okay, not like, oh, I'm a little sensitive. So they came in pain. That's terrible. 40%, almost 40%. And every year it's always somewhere around 40%. And then also we asked them, what, if any, insurance do you have? And 72% of the people that come to our mission do not have any type of insurance. And that's the main reason why, they don't get dentistry done, and they look for something that's free, like mom and PA. So we have a lot of education to do for our legislators, and that's why we do what we do. So once again, thank you to everybody. Any questions, I'd love to answer them for you. But it's really important that we continue this important mission, and it's important that we have the support of the members and the foundation. So thank you. That's all I have, Ward.
Thank you so much, Gary. And you've been doing this for so long, and you thank everybody else, but a huge debt of gratitude to you for being the person at the top making this happen. It really is, a defining part of your career, what you've done. Excellent.
Yep. Thank you.
So with that, we're going to move on to talk to our brand new Pennsylvania Dental Journal editor, Dr. Karin Bryan. I'd like to hear a little bit about your plans for the PDJ, Dr. Bryan.
Hey, thank you for having me as a guest tonight on the big panel. If I lose my voice, it's because I was running around and keeping all those patients in line all weekend and starting to feel that little bit of tickle in the throat. So, the extra zinc and vitamin C is coming on right now. But moving forward, this evening, I want to provide everyone that's here with some information on the Pennsylvania Dental Journal, a little bit about how we publish and archive the publication, and a few of my thoughts on the value proposition for continuing to publish our journal in a hard copy format. So if I could have my first slide, thank you. The Pennsylvania Dental Journal, which we have unofficially branded as the PDJ, is our bi-monthly publication, and it has received awards in 9 of the last 10 years from the ADA and the ICD USA section. Unlike Journal of some other professional associations, it is not an academic publication filled with peer-reviewed research and scientific articles. Occasionally, clinical topics are included, but they are not regular features. It's considered what we call it's a trusted periodical, and it complements all of our other PDA's communications channels. So there are several departments that appear in every issue, and in case you've never noticed, each has its own color-coded section. There are feature stories like National Children's Dental Health Month recaps, annual session highlights, and Mom and Pa that regularly appear depending upon the time of year. And there are also flexible spaces in most every issue, which we use to present the topics that are either special features or they are of timely interest. These feature stories are all noted on the cover. So the mission of the Pennsylvania Dental Journal That's published in every issue. It's on the table of contents page, along with the contact information for our publication, and it is directly opposite the page with the listing of the PDA officers, trustees, chairs, and the central office staff. Excluding the cover, each issue will contain between 40 and 52 pages of content. The page count always needs to be a multiple of 4. So we have to keep that into consideration in our planning. If you run one page over, one page under, it can really impact how we present the content of that particular issue. Can I have the next slide, please? So currently, the Pennsylvania Dental Journal has a print distribution of approximately 3,800 copies. When I checked with our communications director, Rob Pugliese, about a month ago, he reported that there were only 111 members receiving it electronically. Everybody else receives it in hard copy. The members that opt to receive it electronically receive an email at publishing time. It includes a link which lands them on this JUMAG platform. This is the platform that we use for electronic publication. Like most other digital platforms for journals and newsletters, this allows you to view it by clicking on the arrows to turn the pages on your screen, and there is a menu on the left-hand side of that screen which will allow you to download a PDF file of the journal so that you could read it later, or you could even print it if you want to have, say there's one article you want to print the select pages for. So the most 10 recent archived journals are on the communications webpage of the PDA, and they all open with this JUMAG viewer. Next slide. Thank you. So when all 6 issues of the year are put together, it becomes our PDJ yearbook. This yearbook is a record of the achievements of our members and association, and it tells the stories of the issues and events of the year, much like you had your yearbooks in high school or college. So if I were asked, what are the challenges that we are facing to keep this journal as a valuable resource? My response would be our biggest challenge is us. We have a lot of communications channels at the PDA. We need to be careful not to overwhelm our members with our messaging. But fortunately, like other communications, the journal is what we consider to be a soft push. It's not intrusive. It's not urgent. It can sit on your desk and patiently wait for you to read when you're ready to have some time. When you are done with your journal, I encourage every member that receives it to pass it on to a non-member. It's an easy opportunity to showcase our association and our member benefits. So the majority of you out there, you're getting it in print. Please, please pass it on. Other challenges to maintaining printed journals are pretty much industry-wide. They're not easy to respond to. These include loss of ad revenue, increasing print production costs, and outside environmental sustainability pressures. Fortunately, we don't have people picketing out front on Front Street challenging our carbon footprint. So that's one of our few worries. But last year, the journal created $82,600 in revenue, but it had $112,000 in expenses. So as you can see, it's not a revenue neutral process for us. Much of our ad revenue is from classifieds. And if you look at the journal under the budget category of program expenses, it was 31% of the budgeted expenses, second only to continuing education. So how do we determine, is the publication cost worth the value proposition? We could do a survey, but the likely conclusion after expensing the time and the resources on the survey to get those numbers and metrics that we crave because we are dentists is likely to be, let's just keep the status quo. That tends to be what we do. And the funny thing is the desire for printed journals, it has remained strong. And we've seen that all over the country. Rob has told me he's unaware of any state journals that are solely digital. He recalls a few years ago, one state tried to go digital and they had such a negative response that they reverted to printing. Plus, we would lose any revenue from the print advertising. So if you think about print media, anything you read in print, it's a little bit more emotional, it's more visceral. It's easy to delete anything that comes to you electronically and then just move on. But the physical page, having that in your hand, it gives you a more focused experience. And I think we all think we would agree this is a nice break from our increasingly digital world. So it's better than a scroll. It's a more lasting impression. Next slide. So what's happening soon? The journal is in the process of becoming part of ADA Commons. ADA Commons is a digital repository. It collects, preserves, and disseminates state and local dental association publications, scientific research for dental and oral health care needs. Viewers can read more about ADA Commons in our most recent March-April issue, and the web address is on the screen if you would like to investigate more about this incredible resource. What else is new? I will be meeting with Rob and our publisher next month to discuss some of my concerns, which could lead to some potential design changes in the journal. They're not major. I would like to determine if there's any subtle changes we could make so that the journal would be more cost efficient without compromising its quality when it's published. There are an extraordinary amount of pages that are dedicated classified ads. I don't know if you've ever flipped through. The back of the book is very heavy with classifieds. So how can we keep those page counts in check? Maybe by incorporating images and graphics differently or more strategically. Can we change fonts? Or do we need to increase our rates for the classifieds to offset those added page counts, the weight, and the postage that comes with it? Next slide. So when I wrap things up, I would like to thank Dr. Steve Raddick for his 10 years of outstanding service. As editor emeritus, he will continue to work with me and Rob to review content. We are also fortunate to have Dr. Jasmine Shafal remain on our team, the editorial board. And some of our viewers may not know Jasmine is the current president of AADEJ, and she has completed her dental editor certification. So congratulations to Jasmine on that. And I'm also pleased to share we have a new member on our team, Dr. Allison King, who will be testing our waters as an associate editor. And we hope she's going to find this to be an enjoyable experience, and she will become a long member of the PDJ team. Thank you also, Rob. He's the brains of this publication, keeps us on track. Lastly, everybody, please consider contributing an article. Reach out to me or Rob if you have an idea for a feature. If you know an advertiser, we always are welcome to your suggestions. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Bryan, and looking forward to seeing you put your own stamp on the journal in the future. With that, somebody else who's kind of new on the job, our President-elect, Dr. John Coole, has an update for us. Dr. Coole.
Well, thanks for having me here this evening. I think I'm going to be a little bit shorter than the first two. So my first thing that I want to promote is the want to encourage everyone to register and attend the PDA's Family Vacation Dental Conference in July at the AAA Four Diamond Hyatt Regency Chesapeake Bay Golf Resort, Spa, and apparently a marina. It's a great time to relax and spend time with family and friends. We have breakfast in CE for 3 mornings, and you have the rest of your day to enjoy the resort with your family and friends. Best part is you can talk to your accountant or tax advisor about writing off some of the travel expenses. This year's CE topics are emerging and reemerging infectious diseases, minimally invasive dental techniques, and implant complications for the restorative dentist. It is a great hotel rate at $289 per night. Only the taxes are additional. There is a golf course, a spa, and several pools, apparently. I've made it to that yet, but I was hoping to make it this year. But you have to sign up by June 17th to keep the room rate. So another thing I wanted to talk about was the Board of Trustees approved funding for the Health Policy Institute of the ADA to study trends in membership and dental workforce migration. So that's us, the PDA, giving the HPI, which is associated with the ADA, money to study our membership and where our workforce is going and help us deal with our workforce issues, which is a constant conversation in board meetings because of our lack of workforce, our interest in having more workforce, and of course are always interested in having more membership. One of the other things I want to talk about is we have started an AI committee at the board. The idea of this AI committee is to respond to the AI questions of our members, also to help guide the PA through this challenging time. AI is new to a lot of us, and it is a learning process. We won't have all the answers, but this committee is designed to field your questions, do our own research, and try to stay ahead of AI as much as we can, to basically help our members out and keep us from getting lost in the woods of AI. One of the last things I want to talk about is our tripartite realignment. Some of you know about, some of you may not know about. We used to be a quadpartite. We've basically realigned ourselves into a tripartite, which means there's 3 levels that you can be a member with the ADA. And we've also now renamed or created a Council of Trustee Regions, which is kind of like our old House of Delegates, but that is who still has control over the board as far as bylaws and such things like that. So, and we are still actively looking for more committee volunteers. We have various groups of committees, which is a great way to volunteer some time and get yourself involved, and kind of get your foot in the door to see how we really work at the trustee level, board level. So, but that's it for me.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Coole, and nice to see you get your first appearance out of the way, because we know we've seen you a lot in your year as president.
Oh, thank you.
With that, somebody else who's still fairly new to this webinar, our new dentist and dental student and resident relations committee chair, and boy, that is a mouthful to say, Nick, sorry about that. Dr. Nick Seigel, I know your committee's been busy. Tell us what you've been up to.
Thank you, Ward. Well, I'm Nick Seigel. I'm the chair of the Pennsylvania New Dentist Committee. Recently, we had National Signing Day in Pittsburgh, and then a combined event for Penn and Temple in Philadelphia. This year was relative to past years, a fantastic turnout. I graduated dental school 5 years ago, and it was the highest attendance that I have seen in those 5 years. So there was a lot of engagement this year. For people that don't know what National Signing Day is, we send out the PDA president, who at the time that was Dr. Rockwell, and a few other leaders from the PDA to go and speak with students and welcome them into the PDA and basically speak to them about the endless benefits of organized dentistry and what the PDA and ADA has to offer. So this high level of engagement that we had this year is extremely valuable. Of course, the topic of decreasing membership has been a hot button issue for years now. So it helps address that issue. But also Pennsylvania as a whole is hemorrhaging dentists. Most dental students who receive their education in Pennsylvania leave the state once they graduate. So when we go out to these National Signing Day events and we get this good engagement with these students, we're not just speaking to them about the best way to set them up for professional success, but professional success in Pennsylvania in particular. If this trend continues of hemorrhaging dentists out of the state, it could have devastating effects on the Pennsylvania populace, and it would put a lot of strain on very good programs like Mom and PA, like what Gary just spoke about. One of the topics in particular, National Signing Day, that made a lot of ears perk up was that of insurance credentialing. Just a show of hands, students were asked, does anyone know the process of insurance credentialing? No hands went up. And a handful of students did not even know what insurance credentialing was. So in response to that, at our most recent new dentist committee meeting in May, we finalized putting together a webinar specifically about insurance credentialing and laying out the process of how to go through that credentialing process, since it's something that is not covered in the dental school curriculum, but it's something that is needed by almost every dentist once they graduate. So that's going to be valuable information. And we also received a lot of feedback from new dentists that people are starting to get a little bit of Zoom fatigue. Sort of ironic that I'm talking about this on a Zoom call, but people are starting to get a little bit of fatigue with live Zoom calls. So this webinar for insurance credentialing will be recorded, and it'll be accessible to all Pennsylvania Dental Association members, so they can view it and reference it at their leisure and whenever works best for them. One other thing that we talked about in our most recent NDC meeting was the topic of our next virtual CE that we want to offer. We discussed what topics have received the most interest in the past, have received the highest attendance in the past, and we narrowed it down to two, oral pathology and Botox in dentistry. Both of those topics seem to get terrific turnouts and a very high attendance. So we are going to choose one of those two. We're at the early stages of getting this one lined up, but keep an eye out for both of those webinars coming up, insurance credentialing, and then also oral pathology or Botox in dentistry. Both of those will be coming up soon, and we'll have more details for everyone very soon about those. And that's about it for me.
All right, wow. A lot going on there, but some really interesting topics there. And the irony of talking about Zoom fatigue on this platform was not lost on anybody, by the way, Nick. But I really appreciate the report. We've got several reports coming up now from our representatives on various ADA councils. We're going to kick it off with Dr. Pete Korch, who represents Pennsylvania on CBJA. So, Dr. Korch, what has been going on there?
Thank you, Ward. For those of you who don't know, CBJA, the Council on Ethics, Bylaws, and Judicial Affairs, the area of responsibility of the council is the ethics and professionalism at ADA, and that includes disciplinary matters. For example, holding hearings and rendering decisions in disputes arising between constituents or between a constituent and a component. I'm just going to give you a brief rundown of what the council has done this year. And I'm going to couch it in terms of supporting the strategic forecast of the ADA. 5-year goal by 2030, ADA and interested affiliated dental organizations would align on areas of mutual interest. We did there is we executed a memorandum of understanding with the American College of Dentists relating to collaborative activities on ethics in dentistry. Another 5-year goal by 2030, 77.1% of people served by community water systems will have optimally fluoridated water. Seigel authored and published a white paper on the ethics of water fluoridation that includes the ADA principles of ethics and code of professional conduct supporting the optimal fluoridation of community water supplies. A third goal we addressed: by 2030, 75% of all dentists consider the ADA as indispensable to their success and are professionally satisfied. What we did there was authored and published a paper on the ethics of clinical practice autonomy, concluding that the ADA code mandates that dentists have the freedom to create and provide a patient-centric care plan without undue third-party interference or influence. Under the same goal, we make accessible and digestible ethics information available to ADA members through our articles in the Journal of the American Dental Association called Ethical Moments. Some other activities the council has done: we issued periodic reviews of ethics-related statements to ensure their accuracy and relevance. Every year, we also review 1/4 of our existing governance documents, including the bylaws and various other rules. Some emerging trends and issues that the council has identified. There are two. The first, the use of AI in dentistry. With the proliferation of AI-enabled applications and devices in dentistry, an increasing number of ethics-related questions and issues concerning the use of AI in dentistry have surfaced. The council has begun the preparation of a paper addressing those issues. The second is a member conduct policy. Over the past year, a number of inquiries concerning making a complaint under the ADA code for what appears to be infractions of the ADA member conduct policy have been made. The council is examining ways to educate the membership and the distinctions between infractions of the ADA code and the member conduct policy codified in the ADA bylaws. The council this year was not assigned any House of Delegates resolutions. For those of you who are really interested and want to dig deep into what the council has done, our minutes are available on ada.org. I will be around at the end if anybody has any questions for what Seigel has been doing. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Korch. And I'm actually kind of curious to know if AI can do bylaws. I mean, at some point, you could be out of a job.
Yeah, it probably can, but not as good as me.
I have no argument for that. You're the king of the bylaws. As our recognized parliamentarian, much appreciate what you do. Moving on to our next council report. It's actually ADPAC, which is a political action committee, not council, and our representative, Dr. Darleen Oleski, is the chair. Dr. Oleski, what you got?
Thank you, Gary. We're getting ready for our kind of kickoff for the mid-year push now. We're watching a lot of elections. Our actual committee meeting will be held in July, and it's a combination meeting with CGA. CGA is Council of Government Affairs. It's like our GRC in Pennsylvania. We've been talking about doing this for a long time because we really feel that CGA and ADPAC should work in some ways a little bit more closely with each other. So we're going to be spending some time talking about how we're separate and how we're alike. We really need to figure out how to properly align the policy of the ADA and what comes forward from the House of Delegates into what we're actually doing politically in our political engagement. We'll be talking about Lobby Day. Lobby Day is probably going to have a very similar footprint to what we had last year. The survey results from this past Lobby Day were overwhelmingly positive. I don't have the dates on that yet. The Board of Trustees for the ADA will be meeting this weekend, and we know that it's going to be a very heavy in terms of budget. So we'll be getting more information out to you for Lobby Day. The other thing about Lobby Day is we're really looking at the issues that are chosen for Lobby Day. And CGA and AdPAC and our committees really want to have a little bit more input than just our staffers on CGA and our government affairs staff. They do a great job, but we would like to have some more input on that. So we'll keep you abreast of what happens with all of that. We're really looking at the political landscape right now and how we can most effectively get our points across for the rest of this legislative session, and then how we can set ourselves up moving forward into the next legislative session and how we can be better at doing that. Leadership will be talking at that meeting. It's a 2-day combined CGA and AdPAC meeting. And we're already talking about AI. CGA has a lot of information coming out on AI, and also insurance reform is another hotbed item that we'll be working on. AdPAC's priority right now is really getting a soft dollar program out there. This has been stalled. There's been so much in terms of restrictions on budgeting, and some people of our staff on ADA have lost their jobs. So our soft dollar program really got kind of stalled, to say the least. But what we're looking at is, instead of maybe doing $1 million as AdPAC and having $1 million in our coffers in order to effectively lobby, if we can get to $5 million, we become a much bigger player in Washington. So how are we going to do that? We can't keep asking all of us. They can't keep asking all of us to keep donating and donating. I mean, yes, our donations are absolutely essential. But what we're looking at is dental supply companies, the credit card companies, the practice transition companies, Care Credit, all of these companies that we utilize on a daily basis, the entire dental industry market becoming contributors to AdPAC. So that's what our soft dollar campaign is purportedly going to look like. And we're just trying to get that off the ground. Hopefully the Board of Trustees, we have support by some of our key Board of Trustees members and also ADA leadership. So hopefully we can get that off the ground very shortly. So our meeting will be in July in Chicago. I'll also be attending MADPAC. MADPAC is the Medical and Dental Political Action Committee meeting, which will be in June, later in June in Charleston. It's dermatology, anesthesiology, cardiology, you name it, it's all there. And we talk about what's effective, what hasn't been effective. And every time I go to that meeting, I always come back saying, thank God I'm a dentist, because medicine really has a lot more to handle than even we do. But we always come out of that meeting with a couple of pearls. So AdPAC is also reviewing its documents and bylaws right now. CJO's right at the heart of it. And we're actually really in the deep with our IE committee, which is independent expenditures, which is the committee that allows us to make political ads for certain potential candidates or certain candidates. And we've had to have the FEC attorneys kind of really look strongly at it. And it's opened up an entire can of worms, which is very difficult, but we're going to be working hard on that. So that's what AdPAC's doing. Please remember that there is, on June 15th, there is the Ask the ADA Live. So you'll be able to ask your questions to the ADA at that time. I think as many of us who can be on that call should very much try. And again, keep watching for that CGA AI document, which will be a living document, because as we know, this is very much a new technology for all of dentistry. Thank you all so much, and please continue your IPAC contributions. And I'm also going to put that plug in there. Please continue your PodPAC contributions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Oleski. Really appreciate all the hard work, and I know it's keeping you busy as AdPAC chair. You know, it's a lot of travel in there too, apparently. With that, we're going to get to our final presenter tonight. Before I get to him, though, I wanted to just a couple of reminders to the audience. Type in your questions in the question dialog box that looks like a cartoon little dialogue box with a question mark in it. Any question you have does not necessarily have to be on the topics that were covered tonight. And Dr. Rockwell's presentation is going to have a lot of information, hard to digest as you go through this so quickly. But if you click on the materials icon, which is just to the right of the question box, you will see where you can download a copy of it if you would like to have that to keep for yourself. So, Dr. Rockwell, why don't you go through everything and everybody can download it if they see something that they can't quite digest as you go through it quickly.
Yeah. Thank you, Ward. It's good to be here, and thank you, everyone that's attending. I have an outline that'll go through it, and it'll pretty much go through it pretty quick. We covered 6 different topics. This report highlights the discussions and the actions from the Council of Dental Practice on the meeting that was April 16th and 17th. The first topic was military dental team training and transition to civilian practice, going along with workforce. So the CDP continued its review on how the military dental team members transition into private practice. Training varies widely across the branches, making equivalency with civilian roles difficult. As the report notes, training varies significantly among the military branches and differs from civilian pathways, making direct equivalency difficult. All military, there's another chart on that. All military dental personnel received core education at the Medical Education Training Campus at Joint Base San Antonio. A major focus was the Profi technician role. So after basic training, they completed basically a 12-week advanced individual training program. The course is known as 330X2, covering supergenital prophylaxis, sealant application, oral hygiene instruction, radiology, and chairside assisting. Their scope is recognized only in states. The full scope is only recognized in states that have oral preventive assistance. Right now, that's Arizona, Kansas, and Illinois, and Missouri has a pilot program. Virginia is working on one. I don't know exactly where it's at, but they're certainly working on one. The Air Force also sends about 6 members per year to the accredited dental hygiene program at St. Petersburg College in Florida. Given the variability in training and deployment environments, the CDP concluded that creating a meaningful equivalence chart is not feasible, no matter how much the desire. And the next topic is dental wellness. So if you can go to the next slide, the next 2 slides are under the Dental Team Wellness Advisory Committee, DWAC, as they say. DWAC work focuses on professional well-being, ergonomics, patient safety, and liaison relationships with other dental organizations. The CDP recommended shifting DWAC's priority for now toward reviewing professional liability and disability insurance applications to ensure they use best practice, non-stigmatizing language. DWAC has already identified state licensure applications that use harmful have you ever questions. The same review will now extend to the insurance applications. DWAC's leadership will meet with Protective, the ADA endorsed disability insurance partner, to discuss reducing exclusion periods related to prior mental health or substance abuse conditions. Just one thing on that, the second slide on well-being, in the middle, it shows the well-being index for different states. You can look at the whole thing, but highlighted Pennsylvania. So distressed dentists who answered the survey considered they were distressed or struggling with 72-point-something%, almost 73%. Only 13.64% said it was okay, and thriving was 13%. So obviously a lot of Pennsylvania dentists are struggling, or they feel they're struggling. And the Pennsylvania Dental Association is always working on this, as a lot of people have already said, to improve this situation. The next topic is workforce development and pipeline initiatives. So let's go to the next slide. This is one, that's one position, and I'll go over that quickly. But the CDP approved development of a state pilot program connecting workforce ambassadors with state dental associations to build long-term interest in dental careers among middle and high school students. This aligns with 2 ADA, House of Delegates resolutions, Resolution 318, Rural Dentistry, and Resolution 323, Workforce. They are from 2024. House of Delegates. 2 short-term strategies are already underway. ADA Dental Patient Service Coordinator certification is a $199 program covering scheduling, billing, coding, infection prevention, OSHA, and HIPAA, and it's on the ada.org website, and anybody who's a member can get involved with that. It is available now, started in December. An Immersify partnership, AR and AI-based training modules supporting dental assisting, education, and on-the-job training. Research shows that early exposure to rural and underserved settings increases the likelihood of returning to those areas after licensure. Recruiting students from shortage areas remains essential. 2 successful youth programs were highlighted. That's Planet Smiles and HOSA, the Health Occupation Student of America. They have 6,000 chapters and 300,000 members nationwide. The Workforce Continuum pilot will integrate Immersify, DPSC, Planet Smiles, HOSA, ADHA, ADAA, DNB, and NADC, and others to create a seamless pathway from middle school to employment. A major demonstration will occur at the 2026 ADA Scientific Session in Indianapolis this year, featuring Planet Smiles programming for 60 HOSA students. The CDP passed a resolution to explore all of these pilots and report back this year in December. The report also notes Alabama's unique pathway allowing dental assistants to become hygienists through the state-administered Alabama Dental Hygiene Program. As stated, it is a state-administered accelerated certification program to allow qualified dental assistants to become licensed dental hygienists without attending a CODA accredited school. The certificate is only good in Alabama, but it does work well in Alabama. It's 50 years old. Okay, the next thing is artificial intelligence, which was already mentioned. The CDP approved the new proposed policy statement on the use of artificial intelligence in dentistry. And it calls, the updated policy emphasizes AI should augment, not replace, clinical judgment, and calls for coordinated oversight among developers, payers, and regulators. Core principles include transparency, safety, privacy, compliance, and equity. The next topic is a very short topic, practical chairside guidance. The CDP supports developing practical chairside ready guidance to help dentists translate scientific recommendations from the ADA into everyday clinical practice. And then we had elections. So Dr. Douglas Chang from Illinois was elected chair of the Council on Dental Practice beginning at the close of the 2026 House of Delegates. So in conclusion, the April 2026 CDP in-person meeting advanced major initiatives, military, civilian workforce transitions, which didn't get too far, dental team wellness and insurance reform, national workforce pipeline development, responsible AI integration, and practical chairside guidance. Again, together, these efforts support the ADA's long-term goals of strengthening the dental workforce, promoting well-being, and ensuring high-quality patient care. And the reason I made all the slides was a lot of the information may be interesting to people watching, and they can, like Ward said, you can download them or you could review this online when it's posted. So thank you very much, and I appreciate being here. If anybody has any questions, I'll stick around to the end, a few more minutes. Thanks. Back to you, Ward.
Good. Thank you very much, Dr. Rockwell. Really appreciate that. And I have to say, as someone who went to Texas and LSU, it's tough to hear that anything worked well in Alabama. But that long history of that alternate pathway does suggest maybe they got something going there. With that, we have reached the Q&A portion of our webinar. I do not yet have any questions from anyone in the audience. I do have, however, a question from one of our panelists. So we'll get started with that. Please feel free to type in any questions. We'll get to them if time permits. But Dr. Davis, you posted something that I thought was very interesting. Please go ahead.
So I've been involved in 3 community water fluoride battles in South Central Pennsylvania over the last 5 years, and we won 2 of them and lost 1. But I just wanted to get, Pete started talking about it, but anybody on the panel can answer it. But what's the panel's thoughts on members who oppose community water fluoridation and say things like, well, people just need to go to the dentist more and they need to stop drinking soda. And then the other part is in the area that we lost, there was a lot of apathy where dentists just, their community was considering removing fluoride, and they just, too much apathy. They didn't go to meetings, they didn't speak. So what are your thoughts on that, and how do leaders confront our colleagues when something like that happens?
Gary, you're asking for our thoughts on this? Okay,
Yeah.
so when you join the ADA, when you join the tripartite, you're doing it voluntarily. Nobody makes you do that. But when you join the ADA and the PDA and your tripartite local, you agree to follow their policies and their rules. That's a part of being a member. If you don't like the rules, you either work to change them or you leave the organization. Those really are your only two options, apart than actively working against it. But the problem with that is that so using your example, your fluoride example, someone who's actively opposed to fluoridation, who's a member, is basically breaking our member conduct policy. And that's actually a pretty serious thing. So the first thing I would do is pull them aside and say, back off a little bit, because we have this rule and you're a member, you're supposed to follow this policy. Now, someone who has apathy, there's nothing you can do about that. There's just nothing you can do about it. Either they're interested or they're not. Did I address your question?
Yes, you did. But I'm just, especially the apathy. I was probably more angry with some of the members for just sitting back and not taking an active, participation in the fight than I was to the, the board members who, sometimes were clueless and following, party lines, right? Instead of, they just didn't know it. You know what I mean? So from, even an ad pack or a pad pack, perspective too, how do we get members to stand up for what we say we believe in? It's a tough
That's the eternal question. Yeah, that's the eternal question. How do you get people to participate? We had a fluoride issue here in my town last year, and of all the dentists in the area, only 2 of us addressed the issue with the water authority, and we won though, because we were persuasive enough to get our point across. So you don't need everyone to do it, but it helps. But yeah, addressing apathy is not something that is easy to solve. There's no silver bullet that's going to take care of that.
Yeah. I'm going to jump in here as well and just point out, from the standpoint of the organization, PDA has a lot of clout at the state level. ADA has a lot of clout at the national level. And they're paid staff, professionals who represent dentists and who can do a lot of the heavy lifting, which, happens in spite of any member apathy. Let's be honest. But the fluoridation battles more and more tend to be moving to the local level, arguably because in some respects, that's a more even playing field, if you will, to some degree. We don't have the same level of influence. And it is very difficult to apply the resources of the state organization in every local battle. You are very much reliant on the grassroots to make the case. And if there is a reasonable effort made by the local membership to try and get out and spend a little time taking the materials that the ADA and PDA provides, using some of the guidance that's available to them, to lobby your local officials and to make the scientific case, we've got a decent track record. It's probably 50-50 right now, but you look at how involved the local membership was versus those cases where they weren't, that probably tips the scales pretty significantly. So I would just say, if it does matter to you, but you think it's maybe somebody else will handle it. When it comes to these local battles, that's not generally going to be the case. And Dr. Davis is an excellent case in point. He single-handedly has jumped in there multiple times. It takes a few more, though, than just one here and one there. I see a hand raised, Dr. Oleski. Please jump in.
I just wanted to remind everybody that fluoridation issue tends to be a very emotional issue. And it's not potentially always the information out there in the community is not necessarily backed by science. So we have to, as all of you have already said, we just have to be out there. We have to state the science, give them information, give them metrics, and try to relieve that emotionality out of the conversation. And Peter, you're 100% right. I mean, when you join this organization, you are an advocate for what our policies are. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Oleski. I'm going to let that be the last word, as we are slightly over here, and we do try to end as much as possible right on the bottom of the hour. So we hope everybody enjoyed this. Appreciate all the folks who tuned in, and we hope you will do so again in the near future. We've got another one coming up in 2 months. Now, please share with your colleagues that these are recorded. You just saw the slide briefly there that shows where they are on our website. You can access them anytime. There we go. In the webinars and video library. Hopefully, at least a few people will find it interesting that didn't get to tune in today. And those of you who did, we hope you will join us next time in August, when we'll be back on the first Tuesday, same time. And we'll have a few more updates from probably some other ADA panelists, and I believe our president will be joining us that time. John, you're going to get the, I think, the October duty again. Anyway, thank you again for joining us, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. Enjoy this early summer weather that is so gorgeous, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, everybody. It was a terrific webinar.